Good morning. Thanks for joining us here on Breakfast Television. You're looking at one of the many trails here at the entrance to Golden Ears Park. We had a park ranger walk by not long ago, removing some of the signage that was in place. Those signs saying off limits. But now the trails here are back on. Many parks in BC have now reopened today for limited use. They're only open during the day. That includes here at Golden Ears Park. And take a look at this. This was earlier this morning around 20 to 7. Pretty big line of vehicles, people waiting to get in. They've been waiting for this day for quite some time. So we have over 800 BC parks that have reopened today as some of these COVID-19 restrictions begin to lift a little. But when you're at these parks, you need to really pay attention to the signage that's in place. Some areas are still off limits, like picnic areas, visitor centers, playgrounds. Those are still off limits, but you can hike through the trails, and there's lots of people doing that and riding their bikes today as well.
I'm going for a nice long hike. I've been waiting for quite a while.
So I've been waiting for almost 2 months for this park to open up. So going for a nice long hike with a group of friends today. It's going to be fun. Good weather too.
It means that people can spread out when they recreation now, so that's fantastic news. I'm going to go and cycle to the end of the park. I've had to turn around at the gates every day this last few months, so I'm going to go and do my old bike route, and I can't wait to do that.
We're just going for a hike today. I don't think they should have been closed to begin with, but I don't make those decisions. I was here just the day before they closed, went on a nice long hike. It was great. I didn't feel it was overcrowded.
So we're asking people to get to the park, follow the new signage that will be there about instructions about how to use the facilities and ensuring they familiarize themselves with the sanitation or hand wash stations, and that people stay on the well-marked trails. And if you see somebody else, give them the 2 meters distance that we're all trying to give each other in these times.
So what about camping? Well, that still isn't allowed, but you can make reservations starting on May 25th at 7 o'clock in the morning online. It'll be interesting to see how the system handles that, because I imagine there'll be a lot of people trying to do that. Camping is expected to start up again on June 1st, and that's when some national parks will open as well. So it's a great day to be an outdoor enthusiast, and people are still being reminded, though, to maintain the proper distance and obey the signage that's out there. They don't want to have to close the parks, so if everyone follows the rules, we should be good to go moving forward. Mary, over to you.
Thank you so much, Greg. That's our Greg Carver reporting at Golden Ears Park. 9:33 on Breakfast Television. A motion to allow restaurants and breweries to expand patio spaces passed unanimously at Vancouver City Hall last night. The plan will allow the use of public spaces, including sidewalks and street parking, for outdoor liquor and food service. The revised regulations will help eateries maintain physical distancing as part of BC's Restart program. It will also give an economic boost to the hard-hit restaurant industry. As the province prepares to ease some restrictions next week, we're all being advised not to let our guard down. BC reported 16 new cases of COVID-19 yesterday and 1 more death. No new community outbreaks have been found. 59 people are still in hospital, 14 in critical care. If you miss walking into a store and doing some old-school shopping, BC's provincial health officer says retail will be back.
Larger shops and department stores can have more than 50 people if they can maintain enough space between people so that there isn't congregating and crowding. As well, we can safely go to those stores. And we need to know the time we're in the building is short, and we can be efficient in how we move through them at this point in time. We want to make sure that people aren't gathering, that it's not a time when you're going to spend a lot of time talking in close contact with people. You want to make it more efficient and have some combinations, perhaps, in many places, of online and in-store.
Dr. Henry says starting next week, religious services can be held with physical distancing measures in place. BC's Health Minister Adrian Dix has a message ahead of the Victoria Day long weekend.
If you are going to go to Seashell, or if you are going to go to the Shuswap, or if you are going to go to the Gulf Islands, bring your own food, your necessities there, so you don't you're able to maintain at least some semblance of a bubble at that new location. It is very, very important to do so and be respectful of the communities that you're visiting and their concerns and their needs right now.
Well, as mentioned, faith services would be next on the list to welcome their communities back, but how will it look? David Zura has more.
Starting next week, religious services can be held with safe physical distancing.
As the province prepares to roll out Phase 2 of Restarting BC, the provincial health officer has given the green light to the province's religious community to return to places of worship. She warned services would look different, but also credited religious leaders for getting creative.
I'm very heartened by the stories I have heard about how people have reached out in a virtual way or by telephone and other ways to support members of their community.
Which, of course, is welcome news for churches like St. Lawrence Anglican here in Coquitlam. Like many other churches, they had to move their service online. Eric Mason is the Reverend at St. Lawrence and says preparations are underway to start welcoming back his congregation.
They're ready to get back to community. They miss their friends. They miss social interaction. Yeah, we walked through the sanctuary on Tuesday and figured out how many people we can realistically hold if we have a 2-meter radius around every person or every couple of people, every family. We can probably reasonably accommodate about 40 people.
He says that means he'll likely have to run 3 or 4 services in place of the usual 1 to accommodate everyone who wants to attend, which also happens to be one of the recommendations from Dr. Henry, which include less touching as a part of the service and more hand washing options. In the meantime, expect places of worship to continue to get creative, whether it be online or holding drive-in prayer like we see here at All Saints Catholic Church on Wednesday night. In Coquitlam, David Zura, City News.
The longtime CEO of Van City is leaving the credit union to become the CEO of the Vancouver Airport Authority at a very difficult time. Tamara Vrooman is taking over as the Airport Authority begins handing out layoff notices due to financial constraints. She had been BC's Deputy Finance Minister when she took the top job at Canada's largest credit union in 2007. Van City says since then its assets under administration doubled to more than $28 billion. Vrooman will be at the helm as passenger traffic drops up to 70% over the next 3 years.
YVR has always been at the heart of our economy because it represents the best of who we are, our sense of place, our connection to Indigenous people, and an open and diverse economy and community. And so as we think about how we rebuild, YVR is key to leading that charge and being at the center of how we think about what needs to change and what needs to improve as we come out of the COVID crisis.
If you need free or low-cost food as this pandemic wears on, the City of Vancouver now has a map showing more than 50 places you can go for support. The resource builds on a pre-COVID food map from Vancouver Coastal Health. It provides up-to-date information about low-cost food programs throughout the city. The map is currently online. The city says it will soon be available in an interactive web-based format in several languages. The May-long weekend will not be the start of swimming season in Vancouver. The opening of 5 outdoor pools has been put off indefinitely. So has the stationing of lifeguards at 9 beaches. The park board wants to look at how swimmers and staff can be protected from the virus before doing anything. A report is expected at the end of the month. Not really the best weekend to go swimming. Hey, Russ, we are expecting some rain.
No, I guess not. That's some rain on the way. That's tough news, though. Even a couple of my son's friends, licensed lifeguards now, and they're sort of out of work for the time being. So, yeah, hopefully we get things back on track sooner than later, Mary. But as you mentioned, some wet weather on the way this weekend. Let's look at